Imagine yourself lying awake in the middle of the night with your mind racing and the world around you quiet. This is an all too common situation that frequently leaves one feeling defeated or frustrated. Yet what if I told you that these very hours, which seem stolen from your rest, could become your greatest source of strength? The ancient Stoics, masters of turning adversity into opportunity, had a profound perspective on challenges like sleeplessness. The night is a time for training, Marcus Aurelius might have said, viewing these wakeful hours as a workshop for the soul. This video aims to change your connection with the night, not merely provide you with coping mechanisms for insomnia. By the end, you'll not only have a fresh perspective on these hours, but also understand how to use Stoic wisdom to channel your restlessness into growth and resilience. Welcome to a voyage that will hopefully open your eyes to your own unrealized potential, as well as the stars above. Before we dive deep into the night with the Stoics, I have a small favor to ask. If you find any part of this video enlightening, or if it speaks to your nighttime reflections, consider giving it a like and subscribing. It's a small gesture, but it helps spread these timeless Stoic practices to others who, just like you, are searching for peace in the quiet of the night. Thank you for your support. And now, let's embark on this journey together. Understanding sleeplessness through Stoicism. Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches the development of self-control and fortitude as a means to overcome destructive emotions, offers a unique lens through which we can view the challenge of sleeplessness. Instead of perceiving it as a mere inconvenience or a sign of weakness, Stoicism invites us to see it as an opportunity for growth and self-reflection. We are disturbed not by events, but by the views which we take of them. Epictetus once remarked, suggesting that our frustration with sleeplessness is not about the inability to sleep itself, but our attitude towards it. In today's fast-paced world, where a good night's sleep is often considered essential for productivity and health, the Stoic approach challenges us to reassess our assumptions about sleeplessness. It isn't just the quantity of sleep that matters, but how we use the hours we are awake. Sleeplessness becomes a time not just for worry or frustration, but for practicing virtues like patience, reflection, and even gratitude for the quiet moments the night offers. Modern science echoes some of these Stoic sentiments, with studies suggesting that how we think about our sleep can significantly affect our well-being. Sleeplessness then becomes less about a battle to be won and more about an experience to be understood and utilized. By embracing the Stoic view, we can transform these wakeful nights from periods of restlessness into opportunities for personal growth and philosophical practice. This perspective shift is not about denying the importance of sleep, but about enriching the quality of our waking hours regardless of when they occur. As Marcus Aurelius might have mused, the night is not just for sleep, but for living deeply. Through Stoicism, we can learn to embrace the stillness of the night, using it as a canvas upon which to paint our thoughts, meditate on our actions, and prepare for the day ahead with a renewed sense of purpose. The Stoic Night Watch, embracing wakefulness. The night, with its deep silence and stillness, provides a unique setting for introspection and self-improvement. Stoicism, with its focus on personal virtue and wisdom, encourages us to use these hours of wakefulness not as a source of frustration, but as an opportunity for growth. Historical practices of Stoic vigilance. Stoic practitioners, including the likes of Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, often wrote about or practiced nighttime contemplation. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, presents his thoughts and philosophical reflections, many of which could have been conceived during the quiet hours of the night. These moments away from the day's distractions allowed for a deep engagement with their inner thoughts, enabling them to practice mindfulness, and prepare for the challenges of the coming day. Practical exercises for the sleepless Stoic. For those of us seeking to embrace our wakeful nights, Stoicism offers several practices. Journaling, writing down thoughts and reflections, can help process the day's events and quiet the mind. Meditation on impermanence. Contemplating the temporary nature of our worries and the world around us can provide a calming perspective, making it easier to rest. Planning acts of kindness. Use the time to think of ways you can contribute positively to the lives of others the following day, aligning with Stoic values of virtue and community contribution. These exercises not only make productive use of wakeful hours, but also help inculcate a Stoic mindset, turning potential restlessness into a period of philosophical practice and inner peace. Transforming restlessness into resilience. In the stillness of the night, our inner turmoil can become louder, more persistent, yet it's precisely in these moments that Stoicism provides a beacon of hope, teaching us to transform our restlessness into resilience. The power of perspective. At the heart of Stoicism is the belief that our reactions, not our circumstances, define our peace of mind. This notion is pivotal when confronting sleeplessness. Instead of succumbing to frustration or despair, we're encouraged to view these wakeful hours as a test of our Stoic virtues, patience, acceptance, and the ability to remain unperturbed by external conditions. By shifting our perspective, what was once a source of stress becomes a space for growth. Adapting Stoic practices for nighttime. Awakening, Stoicism offers several practices that can be especially meaningful during the night's quiet hours. Negative visualization. Imagine worse scenarios than the present moment of sleeplessness. This practice not only puts your current situation into perspective, but also cultivates gratitude for the bed, room, and safety you currently have. Voluntary discomfort. Use this time to practice being comfortable with discomfort, whether it's the physical state of being awake when you wish to sleep, or the mental task of confronting thoughts you'd rather avoid. This strengthens your resilience for facing other challenges in life. Contemplation of the cosmos. Reflect on the vastness of the universe and your place within it. This Stoic exercise, often more profound during the night, can help diminish the weight of your worries, including those about sleeplessness. By engaging in these practices, we not only make productive use of our time, but also build a foundation of inner strength that benefits all areas of our lives. The Stoics' Guide to Rest and Rejuvenation. While Stoicism teaches us to find strength in wakefulness, it also values the rejuvenating power of rest. Understanding and embracing rest is crucial for a balanced life, a concept deeply embedded in Stoic philosophy. The importance of rest in Stoicism. Stoicism does not advocate enduring hardship for its own sake, but rather emphasizes living in accordance with nature, which includes respecting our natural need for sleep. Marcus Aurelius, despite his responsibilities as emperor, stressed the importance of rest for the mind and body to function at their best. He understood that true resilience comes not from neglecting our needs, but from acknowledging and addressing them wisely. Stoic strategies for improving sleep quality. To harmonize with nature's rhythm and enhance our quality of sleep, the Stoics practiced and recommended several strategies. Evening reflections. End your day with a reflective review of your actions, thoughts, and experiences. This practice, akin to Seneca's nightly self-examinations, helps settle the mind and prepares it for rest. Moderation in diet and exercise. Follow a balanced diet and regular exercise regimen, but avoid overindulgence and strenuous activity close to bedtime. The Stoics understood the value of moderation in all things, including those that impact our sleep. Preparation of the sleeping environment. Create a serene and comfortable sleeping environment free from distractions and excesses. This aligns with the Stoic practice of simplicity and focus on essentials. By incorporating these Stoic strategies into our nightly routine, we can foster a more restful and rejuvenating sleep, aligning with the natural cycle and ensuring that we are prepared, both mentally and physically, for the challenges and opportunities of the coming day. Stoic figures and sleeplessness. Throughout history, numerous Stoic figures have exemplified how one can turn sleeplessness into a conduit for personal strength and philosophical insight. Their experiences offer tangible proof of Stoicism's timeless relevance and practicality. Marcus Aurelius. As a Roman emperor, Aurelius faced immense pressure and responsibility. His meditations reveal many nights spent in contemplation, where sleeplessness served as a catalyst for his philosophical writings. These moments of wakefulness allowed him to explore the depths of his thoughts, leading to insights on resilience, the nature of the universe, and the power of the human spirit. Seneca. In his letters and essays, he often touches upon the importance of facing adversity with a calm and composed mind. He saw sleeplessness not as a hindrance, but as an opportunity to practice Stoic exercises, such as reflection on one's mortality and the transient nature of life's troubles. His writings encourage embracing the quiet of the night for deep contemplation. Modern Stoics, too, find value in the teachings of their ancient predecessors. For instance, individuals like Tim Ferriss and Ryan Holiday speak openly about utilizing Stoic principles to navigate the challenges of sleeplessness and stress. They advocate for using this time for reflection, planning, and engaging in mindful practices that align with Stoic virtues. These case studies demonstrate that sleeplessness, while universally challenging, can also be a powerful tool for personal and philosophical growth when approached with a Stoic mindset. By learning from these examples, we can begin to see our own wakeful nights through a different lens, one of opportunity rather than frustration. The journey forward, turning night into strength. As we draw the curtains on our exploration of Stoicism and sleeplessness, it's clear that the night, with all its quiet and solitude, is not something to be battled, but embraced. Through the wisdom of Stoicism, we've uncovered tools and perspectives that transform sleepless hours from periods of frustration to opportunities for growth, reflection, and self-improvement. Whether it's through journaling, meditation, or simply shifting our perspective on discomfort, these practices offer a path to not only endure the night, but to thrive in it. Remember, the next time you find yourself awake when the world sleeps, you're not alone. You stand with the Stoics, past and present, who see in the darkness a chance to illuminate the inner workings of the mind and soul. So I challenge you. Take one Stoic practice into your next wakeful night and see how it transforms your experience. Share your journey in the comments below and join a community of modern Stoics, turning night into strength, one wakeful hour at a time.